Hello everybody, welcome to Sunny the Eggman YouTube channel. Last episode we discuss on the 5 main points to consider if you are a single working adult staying in Singapore. Now, we will explore on the points to be considered if you stay in Singapore with your family. The scenario we portray is based on a young family with 2 kids. Point 1. Your accommodation in Singapore. A family of 4 must rent a house in Singapore as it is merely impossible to rent a room or 2-room with landlord. Hence, the easiest way is to rent a whole house from landlord. The rental for a whole house range from $2,000 to $5,000, depending on the location and type of property you rent. If you would like to save rental cost, then you can consider to rent a 3 rooms HDB unit. However, please bear in mind that there is non-citizen quota for HDB renting out to foreigners. This may cause difficulties in renting a HDB units for foreigner with family. If you cannot locate any HDB units for rent, then you can only rent for private property such as suites and condo. It will cost you at least 2,800 Singapore dollars per month to get a decent suites or condo. Other than rental fees, you also need to consider the advanced deposit of 2 months, water, utilities and Wi-Fi connection in the house. Average water and utilities usage of a family range is between $80 to $200. Point 2. Your daily expenses in Singapore. The daily expenses can vary wildly depending on your choices. There are some basic expenses that you need to cover, for example groceries, food and beverages and some necessities for kids. For groceries, you can choose to purchase from the traditional market in your neighborhood or you can purchase from supermarkets such as NTUC Fair Price, Shang Tsung and Cold Storage. There will be some price difference between traditional market and supermarket. The average spending on groceries for a family range between $500 to $2,000, depending on your lifestyle and brand preference. For food and beverages, you can either choose to cook at home or eat outside. Cooking at home will definitely save a lot on food and beverage, especially for a family of 4. If you buy groceries to cook from traditional market, it will cost around $50 to $80 per week. You could only spend $200 to $360 per month on food and beverage when you cook at home. However, if you wish to eat outside or catering food for your family, you might need to spend around $1,500 to $2,500 per month on food and beverages. It is always good to give a budget of food and beverages based on your financial planning as the spending range on food and beverages can be very significant, depending on your lifestyle. Point 3. Your transportation in Singapore. If you can travel with your family using public transport at all time, you can save a lot on transportation cost. Let's say you and your partner work from Monday to Friday, and you all will travel outside on weekends using public transport. Your transportation cost will be around $300 to $400 per month, depending on the distance between your home and workplace. However, if you stay in outskirts area and tend to travel using private hire like taxi or Grab once in a while, then your transportation cost will increase to an average of $800 to $1,200 per month, depending on the frequency of outing. With a family of 4, it is quite challenging to travel with public transportation most of the time. Imagine if you wish to buy groceries while having outing with kids. You will need to carry many things and it's time consuming to wait for public transport. Hence, if your budget allows, buying a car is another alternative in Singapore. An affordable second-hand car range from 25,000 Singapore dollars to 50,000 Singapore dollars, depending on the age and certification of entitlement, the COE. This means that you will need to bear a monthly installment around $400 to $600, for an average of 5 to 7 years. Also, you will need to consider the cost on petrol, toll, parking, repair and maintenance. Average spending on car maintenance and all other costs is around $300 to $500 per month. Point 4. Your telecommunication expenses in Singapore. The average mobile plan from service providers range from $20 to $40 per month per person, depending on your data usage and phone call usage. Hence, the average cost on mobile plan for a family range between $50 to $100. Also, you would need to subscribe a Wi-Fi connection as mentioned earlier on. For the Wi-Fi plan, it will cost you around 40 Singapore dollars to 60 per month, depending on the package you require. Point 5. Your children's expenses in Singapore. By having 2 kids, the first thing you would need to consider is the childcare expenses if both you and your partner are working in Singapore. You could either hire a domestic helper, full-time nanny, or send your kids to full-day childcare center. Hiring domestic helper will cost around $700 to $1,000, while sending your children to full-time nanny house will cost around 1,200 Singapore dollars to 1,800 Singapore dollars. Alternatively, sending your children to full-day childcare center will cost around $700 to $1,000 per kid. When your kids grown up, you would need to consider their education fees and tuition fees. This will easily cost you $800 to $1,000 per kid, especially if you are not Singapore citizen, as you need to pay monthly school fees for educations. Point 6. Your personal lifestyle in Singapore. The above points are all basic necessities in Singapore, but this is the nice to have point for your comfortable lifestyle in Singapore. Depending on your family financial planning, you can allocate a budget for entertainment in Singapore. By having a budget of $500 to $800 per month, you could organize some family bonding activities such as bring your children to Universal Studios Singapore, Marina Bay, or Singapore Zoo. If there is only limited budget allowed, you can also visit free sightseeing places, such as National Park, street arts, or seaside. These are also great recreation places for family bonding, but might be crowded during weekends. In conclusion, if you are a young family with 2 kids staying in Singapore with tight budget, you can survive by spending an average of $3,800 to $4,500 on basic necessities. If you and your family wish to have a mid-range lifestyle in Singapore, then it is possible to control your budget in Singapore at an average spending of 8,000 Singapore dollars to 9,500 Singapore dollars. Hope you can have a thoughtful consideration for cost of living as a family in Singapore by watching this video. Stay tuned and remember to share, like and subscribe our channel. I'm Sunny the Eggman. Goodbye.